Took me a minute to remember what I wanted to talk about today, but I remembered. I don't trust muscle testing. I use muscle testing all the time, but I don't trust it by itself when it's used by itself. So let me explain that. So I've seen people use muscle testing, and I've been to people who use muscle testing, and it seems to work. It seems to work just fine for what they're doing. But I've heard a lot of people say over the years that they have a difficult time developing confidence in their muscle testing skills so that they can actually use it for their families, for their friends, and actually feel like they're being effective. Why do I bring this up? Well, the technique that I use to address brain dysfunction utilizes muscle testing as a means of both only for identifying what specific functions or areas of the brain need attention. Besides that, I don't use muscle testing. This has been my experience with doing muscle testing, and that's that when it's done just by itself, you can get a lot of mixed signals from the body and through the muscles about information that you're trying to glean or trying to collect when you're doing work. And here's why I think that is when most people learn muscle testing, they learn to ask questions or to think of things in their mind and then apply the muscle test. And this is the problem with that I've learned, is that most of our minds move so fast and have such quick, fleeting thoughts all the time that even if we think that we've got an idea isolated, it's being bombarded by other thoughts that want to either associate with that thought or it's something else that's on our mind. So if let's say you're I don't know, testing if you were allergic to something, all right? Unless you have that substance close to you, on you, holding it against your body, holding it in your hand, if you're just asking in your mind if you're allergic to that thing, I don't trust that. I don't trust the response that you're gonna get through the muscle, because whether you say it or whether you think it, your mind is gonna have other thoughts competing with that thought. And so I don't think you're gonna get a really accurate muscle test. You might get a muscle test that helps you, and you might get an answer. You might be good enough to do that, but I don't think most people are good enough to do that. So this is what I've learned, and this is when I trust muscle testing, is when you can make the test so specific, so simple, and so precise that the reaction and the response that you get from the muscle is clear, okay? And the way that I prefer to do that is with acupressure, okay? Acupressure combined with muscle testing. So if you can find a point that helps you represent something about the information that you're trying to get from the body, I think that's going to make your muscle testing way more clear. So just to give you an example of that, if you just push on a muscle, if you're testing yourself or even somebody else, if you push on if you test a muscle just the way it is, you should get what we call a locked response, where the muscle contracts and it locks, and you can feel that. And that's the equivalent of asking the body, how are you today? Okay, it's a really general question, and although you're going to get a really general response from the body, usually it's going to be a good response. If that person's if they're in decent health, you're going to get a good response, right? But if you use that same person, same muscle, and you ask them how their brain is doing using an acupressure point, you're probably going to get a different response. If you touch a point that represents somebody's heart, their physical heart, and they have heart problems, you're going to get a different response. Okay? So I trust muscle testing when the test can be specific, it can be simplified, and that makes all the difference. Okay? I'm gonna start getting into the skills more in these next videos about how to do the technique that I keep referring to. So today I was going to talk about muscle testing. In the coming videos I'm going to talk a little more about acupressure. But if you guys have a question, if you guys want me to do a specific video on something, then put it in the comments below, or send it to me on Facebook or something. You can send it to my business page, ADHD Solutions, or you can just send it to my Facebook, Caden Jensen. That should be pretty easy to find, but let me know. The other thing is, if you guys want to start learning this technique, learn how to address brain dysfunction yourself, have the skills and tools necessary to do it without drugs, without exercise, go to my website, myadhdsolution.com. Go to services, go to integrated family program. That program is designed for those people who want the power, tools, and resources to be able to help their family from their home. And you can do it. It's a video series. You can follow each video step by step. They're about they probably average 2 to 3 minutes long each one. Okay, but they take you through each individual function that has to do with ADHD and dyslexia, and you can address it from home. You can do it from your phone, you can do it from a computer, you can put the videos up on a TV if you know how to do that, if you're tech savvy. Anyway, again, post comments or questions, and I'll try and get those questions answered. See you next time.